Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to Battle Brothers Season 3. As today, I think we're just about done in Karakin. We did have this one other one skull contract on tap, but I already peeked in on it, and it's a freet, which, you know, even at one skull I really don't want to deal with. So instead, we will focus on more ambitious pursuits. Slaughtering goblins, which means we're setting our sights on Rusty Blade Mesa. We'll also just do some general exploration, clear some fog, continue ignoring the sunken library, since that's also something we don't want to have anything to do with. At least not yet. You know, maybe later down the line. But yeah, we'll just generally play this one by ear. You know, there are still quite a few legendary locations we have not located yet. Not all of them combat locations. There's a number of non-combat legendary locations too. So, you know, hopefully we can find at least a few before we have to head back to resupply. But we will see. Trip was injured in battle, and you figured it'd be best to go see how he's doing. Surprisingly, he's doing quite well. His wounds have healed in such quick fashion you almost want to believe he consulted some dark arts while no one was looking. But there are no signs of black magics around. Just one sturdy and hard-to-kill man of flesh and blood. Hey, nice. Welcome back, Trip. Who might actually... yes, he is still sick. From the potion. Alright, fair enough. You know what? We'll take it. Sickness passes faster than broken ribs. Oh, also, I actually missed it last time, but Giannis at level 7. So, let's go ahead and grab that melee. We'll grab... Oh, man, look at that max roll in fatigue. Yeah, let's go ahead and grab that. I have more or less given up on my foolhardy notion of a nimble-forged bro. You know, I want him to look like a gladiator, but we can still manage that with just the helmet, as long as we get him kitted with a nice gold set of body armor. In fact, we've actually got one theoretically slightly heavier suit right here. The Southern Longmail. How much would that... Oh, wait. Actually, first we have to go ahead and bank his perks. Brawny plus Battle Forged. Okay, so that sets him at base 72. And then swapping him into this drops him down to 64, which is not awful, but let's hold off on that for a little longer. Who knows? Maybe we'll find a perfect set of armor out here somewhere. Assuming we can actually find anything to fight. Really figured we'd have run into something by now. We are deep into the wildlands. Coming right up on the edge of the map. Merriman. We've got some mountains here. That might be problematic. I'm trying to be mindful of our total food supply we have to turn back once we get below about 80 or so. Oh, come on. Really? Of all the things you were going to throw at us? I mean, I guess unholds aren't the worst. Definitely preferable to lindworms, at least. And we could use giant bones. Alright, yeah, we'll do it. But we need to pull the rookies. Let me think on this for a sec. Alright, let's do this. 2 days deep into their expedition into the unknown. The raiders found themselves at the foot of the Merriman Mountains. The trip had been uneventful thus far, shockingly so. But then, as they finally wended their way through a winding mountain pass, a sudden rumble of thunder. No, not thunder, nor avalanche as some might have feared, but rather the rumbling bassy roar of a half-dozen unholds. Perhaps the raiders had unwittingly wandered into their hunting grounds, or perhaps simply too close to their lair. But regardless of reason, the raiders now found themselves scrambling over jagged, uneven terrain, trying to find their footing as the fearsome foes approached. Wow, yeah, this actually is very awkward terrain. There we go. Yeah, that's much easier. Now we know what directions they're actually coming from. I'm actually immediately regretting bringing Alois in. Really should have left him on the bench. I almost tagged in random, but he was still down like 20 health. So I erred on the side of caution and kept him on the bench, but I will feel very silly if Alois gets crushed. Formation fractured by the jagged terrain. The raiders scattered amongst the stones, simply trying to find purchase and position wherever they could. Blades, bows, and bullets scored the beast's hides, but none as of yet gave them much pause. One immediately rushing in to lock down the unfortunate witch hunter. Okay, that's not great. But no reason to panic just yet. Let's maybe just keep piling on. Most of us have fearsome, so in theory we might be able to break their will before they start breaking anything else. So I'm all circled wide, moving to support. Tommy went for his mace, then tossed a net with his offhand, festooning one of the fearsome Furbolg. Val did likewise on North, locking another one down, holding it in place for Rax's tender mercies. And the first Colossi came crashing to the ground, impaled on Diego's spear. The beasts on South began to waver. The raiders deftly keeping just out of their reach. Oof. A thunderous swing, pinwheeling arms. Alois and Tommy were both sent flying, Tommy taking the worst of it. Bruised and bloodied, but thankfully thrown clear. Alois just started falling back. But the rest of the raiders dug in their heels, continuing to hack and slash with wild abandon. The second beast is broken. Hide scored with long, jagged gashes. Alois falls back just a bit further. A shroud of shrapnel, causing one beast to blink, but otherwise leaving it largely unharmed. And yeah, Tommy fell back as well. Best not to tempt fate. A bit of a disaster on round 2. Really shouldn't have brought Tommy or Alois, but I think we're okay. We locked it down pretty quick after. Wild, brutish swings send Seymore staggering. Another dashing Drakiith off to one side. But the raiders quickly push back. Zarmal plunging one of his arms into an unhold's gut up to the elbow, thrashing about with his dagger, till it finally falls still. Bowman scans the battlefield, moving to a better position. Diego dispatches a second unhold. Rax grumbling about stolen kills as he turns and strides south. But hey, we're all raiders here. What's a few kill steals between friends? Seymore stabs the second to last all the way through, struggling to hold it steady. As Verlin takes out its throat, sending the thing gurgling to the ground. And the final beast flails all the more frantically against its corded capture, as it finds itself veritably swarmed by raiders. Blades biting deep, barely able to defend itself. Until, with one last swing, Seymore finally cuts it short. Tommy and Alois slightly worse for wear, but honestly, not that bad. Though I will say, would have been nice to pull more bones, perhaps. Inappropriate. But we'll take what we got. Everyone came out alive and relatively intact, so certainly can't complain. Also pulled a legacy level on Drak, so let's get that taken care of. Once we've cycled out the wounded. Which is actually a fair chunk of the party. Yeah, you know what, let's go. Let's at least temporarily go wide front. Though I suppose there's not really much reason to overthink it, considering we'll likely rearrange the lines anyway once we see what we're up against next. Oh, and the level up, right. Legacy level, so pretty straightforward. We'll take melee, we'll take defense, and then maybe not the best decision, but I really kind of want to round that out to 80. Which this should do. Yes, okay, that's all I wanted. That's the last time we'll bump his health. And on we go. One fight down. Slightly harrowing, but not too bad. Let's hope the next one gives us a bit more challenge. Many orc berserkers? I mean, that doesn't actually sound that bad, but let's give it a peek. We're here, might as well. Ah, and that's why they seemed weaker than I would have expected. They just spawned a patrol, which is a shame, because I honestly would have preferred a better fight. With a brutally butchered Unhold left in their wake, the raiders soon crested the glistening heights. The vast vista of a picturesque valley stretching out before them, marred only by the squat, ugly camp lined with sharpened logs that sat snugly at its center. "Captain, look at that," Arrow called, pointing as a dozen figures detached from the main camp, marching off for parts unknown and leaving only half that number of paint-daubed dastards behind. And the raiders swiftly descended upon them, making no secret of their approach, knowing that their mere presence would drive these Orcan invaders apoplectic. And sure enough, no sooner had the raiders drawn near than the first howl went up. Though the figures did stay surprisingly well entrenched, at least at first. Perhaps not deliberately, but by sheer happenstance, vast simmering cauldrons full of suspicious stew blocked the raiders' shots as they approached, though also slowed that approach, preventing the orcs from using their trademark charge. And the raiders promptly set upon them. Drakiith splitting the first orc berserker's face. Another dashing forward, blood streaming from the arrow taken on approach. Yanis battered the defaced dastard half to death, whilst Rassel moved to meet another, and the rest boiled forth. Cetra swiftly striking the wounded one down, then cracking another across the knuckles. Bowman sinking an arrow through a third one's throat. Valinrook lopped a lobe off another. Zarmal savaging a chain-wielding warrior on north, allowing Diego to finally finish it off. Seymore went neck and neck, one side to the other. A blast from the back line, shredding the final axeman's calf. Drakiith quickly pouncing. A slash of his scimitar not sparing its ribs. Valin pinning the one beside it, blood fountaining as it bent over backwards to bow out. The axeman unhanded in turn. Bowman took aim. A perfectly placed shot. The second to last scoundrel skewered. And the last not far behind. With Rassel claiming the final kill. Yeah, nice and easy one. With a very disproportionate reward, my goodness. We've got 2 named items. The well-crafted shaft. A fine weapon indeed. Fighting spear with reduced fatigue cost. And Bleak Blade Ingram's Ravager, which also has a reduced fatigue cost, though not quite as dramatically so as the shaft. Plus some other halfway decent loot. We'll take it all. Though, sadly, I don't think either of those items rolled any damage bumps, but we'll double check that momentarily because, yeah, that's stuff that we have immediate use for. 4060, 3690. 4060, 2590. Right, so no damage bump on the cleaver, but it does get increased armor pen, and of course the reduced fatigue cost. Also got a bump on durability. You know, not the most exciting rolls, but still a step up from what we've got, so we'll go ahead and swap it in. And then the spear, the well-crafted shaft. $35.40, $25.100. $35.40, $25.100. So again, no bump on damage, but a slight bump on armor pen, plus a much more significant fatigue reduction. Also another durability bump. And I think we'll give Diego the shaft. It is tempting to toss it to Berlin, but I think Diego will put it to better use. He's got the weaker fatigue. Not bad, Raiders. Not bad at all. Now let me just tag those orc items for repair. And we'll run down the warband. Which obviously won't be much of a challenge. It was definite rookie fodder. But, we're doing okay on time. I think we'll have room for one more after. Assuming, of course, we can find something suitable. With the Berserkers thusly eclipsed, the Raiders soon razed their makeshift camp to the ground. And as the last of the lustrous loot was loaded into their wagon, another cry of alarm, this time heralding the arrival of the Orcan warband, drawn back by the thick plumes of smoke. Catching sight of the Raiders, they quickly realized that their kin were well beyond saving, and thus lit off once more. The usual Orcan savagery giving way to primal fear. And the Raiders, of course, gamely gave chase, soon running them down at a sparse tree line, just along the border of more civilized territories. Once they realized they could not flee, the orcs promptly flipped from flight to fight, wheeling about, rushing back towards the Raider lines, their massive brutish blades raised and ready. The first met by a pair of arrows, one sinking feathers deep through clenched fist. The two sides both squared off, neither eager to give up the advantage of elevation. But finally, the orcs, their patience worn thin, cascaded forward. Well, not that one. That one fell, a javelin jutting through its heart. But the rest rushed forth. Too close for a proper charge, but too far to go in swinging. Another arrow sank deep, an Orcan axeman given pause. Yanis swung wide, dashing the cap off an Orc Young's head. And Rassel leapt forward, securing the southern flank. The rest of the raiders finally moving in to engage as well. Yanis was stunned by a bull-rushing brute. A berserker dispatched by hammer and spear. Trip savage to savage. Foe finally faltering. The former thief juked out to one side, intercepting another. Bowman hit the links, chained another kill, as it were. While Strook made a pointed retort. A blast on south shredded a shield to splinters, tearing apart the hand holding it in place. Drak left an Orc Young on his last leg. Diego putting him the rest of the way down. Val caught yet another Orc through the neck. Though, didn't even give the poor guy time to bleed. Rassel fell back, blocking off another flanky bastard on south. Centris cracked a skull. Seymore rushing in, breaking two more Orc Young at center. And the final Orc rushed in, even as Seymore crushed one of his fellows right in front of him. The fight was all but over, but honestly, it had barely even begun. These poor saps had never stood a chance. They had gone out into that great wide world to gain some grisly experience. And we're now experiencing it firsthand. Diego gouging yet another to the ground. Seymore severing another's head. Seymore crushed the second to last. Oh, and Trip just narrowly missed claiming the last. Before that final foe practically burst at the seams, shrapnel shredding through him, leaving naught but gore. And hey, it did net us 2 level ups, plus some halfway decent sales fodder. I mean, not great, but I'd say well worth carting back to town. Oh, yeah, I forgot to re-equip nets after the Unhold fight. Let me go ahead and do that real quick. And level ups, with a full level up for Alois, who hits level 10. Which will probably be Kill Frenzy, but let's get a gander at stats. Obviously, we'll take the range. We'll take the initiative. And Let's go ahead and grab that fatigue. A little extra wiggle room for one last armor upgrade. And then, as far as perks go, we'll go Killing Frenzy first, and then recover at 11. Same deal as Mark. As for Val, much more straightforward. This is just a legacy level, so we get 3 minor bumps. We'll take the standard trifecta. Oh, shoot. Did I just... Gosh darn it. I think I put one of those points in melee instead of range. Alright, well... That's fine. He's still pretty dead accurate as it is. Maybe I'll slap a fire spear or something on him just to help justify that. Ooh, here we go. Nul Diff. Our very first full-fledged Goblin stronghold, I think? We might have done like one before, but I think it was just Wolf Riders. This one, however, has our very first Goblin Shaman, along with a whole boatload of ambushers and skirmishers. A mite bit more ambitious than I was really hoping our final fight would be, given that we only have like 10 minutes left, but I'd be a fool to pass it up. And we're certainly not ending here. Let's just pull out our characters with lower range defense. We'll also bench the gunners. They're too fragile for a full-on range fight. As the raiders rounded yet another mountain range, another squat fortification came into view, though this was no Orcan village. Rather, the ugly, jagged structure was a full-fledged goblin fort. A flag flying high, marked with some unrecognizable runes. No doubt the proper name of this place, transcribed in the goblin's foul tongue. Completely lost on the raiders, of course. Even the most learned amongst them could not parse those primitive runes. But they would happily erase them. And thus began the siege. Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, that is a terrible starting spot. Feeling pretty good about pulling all of our arrow sponges. Except for maybe Drak, but it's fine if he loses some blood. He can always siphon off more. Realizing their precarious position, the raiders hasten forward. Drakiith darting ahead. Arrow laying down fire. Catching a skirmisher through the side. Rax rushed in. And behind him, a sudden splintering crack, the earth rupturing around 3 raiders, grasping thorny tendrils rising up to pin them in place. Random growled with dismay, wrestling with the vines, trying to tear them off himself and nearby allies, though Seymore was too distant. Rook waved him forward, content to cut Seymore free himself. Which he did with relative ease. A might bit tiring, but otherwise no real harm done, other than to perhaps slightly stymie their advance. And honestly, even where they had briefly faltered, the rest of the raiders approached unhindered, finding their way to the foot of the slope leading up to the Goblin fort. As they reached that rolling incline, though, a second volley soon rained down upon them. Viciously and viscously envenomed arrows came down in a sudden cascade, thunking into shields and dirt around them, a few glancing off armor, but none finding flesh beneath. Drakiith lopped the leg off one gutsy goblin, leaving him easy prey for Rax. At least in theory, Rax suddenly finding himself entangled. Yeah, no luck there. We'll get Diego on that net. More roots rose up on north, entwining 3 more raiders, though barely giving Valen pause as he put a spear through a skirmisher's chest. Diego awkwardly hacked Malafnoy free. The former noble being the one best positioned to go for that shaman. Whilst Seymore dispatched another skirmisher on center, only to promptly find himself pinned down. Random rushed in, only to find a low shrubbery awkwardly impeding his aim. so he stepped off to one side instead. Mal moved up. Sadly, obstacles blocked his path to the caster, but that's fine. He'd happily claim a few archers en route. Cetrus tore himself and Diego free. Merlin freed up Trip. The Rax was still entangled. We gotta get someone on that. Oh. And a Goblin ambusher finally lands a real hit. Envenomed arrow tearing through ragged chain. The unfortunate flagellant's movements growing sluggish as the toxin takes its toll. He ducks off to one side, trying to keep himself in cover as he continues to advance. Trip takes a few dings. A glance from Verlin as he readies to rotate. Brutish bolas bounce off rooks in robed form. And the Goblin Shaman falls back, forfeiting offense in favor of escaping Malafnoy's wrath. Diego pushes up, providing shield cover for the brothers behind. Malafnoy hacking his way out of his fibrous confinement. Rook goes for the throat, running another pest through. Then carefully steps forward. A very calculated risk. Rax finally rushes in. Seymore striking down a skirmisher, despite his current constricted state. The ambushers begin a slow fighting withdrawal, peppering the raider line with arrows even as they begin their escape. Giving the raiders a clear shot at the shaman. Interesting choice. But I suppose we can't really pretend to be surprised that goblins are inherently selfish. Rax once again roped. Hold steady, shouting for someone to cut him free. Oh, come on now. Well, I mean, at least he's not casting. He's only gotten off 2 spells in 4 rounds. Oh, wow, that is a very interesting decision, my friend. The shaman, perhaps in his panic, sprints off to one side, poising atop a precarious slope. Diego disentangles Rax. Mal teeing up a target for him, cleaving through a goblin's calf. Seymore is set free. And Cetra sprints forward, locking the shaman down. Whilst Verlin continues to struggle, having a really hard time with those 2 skirmishers on south. Bad position, bad rolls, but at least it's keeping him busy. Not sure Seymore can handle that many goblins. Seymore swings off to one side, locking 2 goblins down. One of which is promptly dispatched by Rax. His axe practically cleaving it in 2. And the ambushers expedite their fighting withdrawal. And despite being set upon by Cetris, the Goblin Shaman defiantly casts one last spell. A cascade of stinging insects swarming around Valin's head, biting and stinging at his flesh. Arrow tries to aim through the errant insects, but unable to find a clear line of sight, he moves up instead. Valin shouts and flails, stumbling about. Aim completely off kilter, thanks to these chitinous pests. But undeterred, Drakiith moves in. Rax cuts his way through the last skirmisher on south, ambling into the ambushers. Yeah, you guys probably should have retreated faster. Random pulverizes a particularly persistent pest, finally freeing up Trip and Verlin. Verlin promptly pushes up, flanking another enemy with Rook. Mal turns his attention north, sprinting towards the last few ambushers. Seymore takes a sec to catch his breath. And there we go. Drakiith finally dispatches that pesky shaman. Rook recovers. The ambushers go from evasive maneuvers to full-blown rout, trying to put as much ground between themselves and their pursuers as possible. Except for the ones already locked down, of course. They simply embrace their inevitable end. Though I will say, they are still deceptively dangerous. All it takes is one good pierce to do some decent damage. Though, you know, that's tough to do when you've been torn apart by Rax. The fate of many a foe. Seymore kills one and maims another on center. Arrow finishing off the second a split second later. The Goblin dropping with a warbling wail. Mal vaults some crates. As Verlin finishes the actual final skirmisher on south. Diego darting in, dispiriting another ambusher. Cetra striking down the last ambusher on north. Oh, Rax cutting the fight. And another Goblin, short, on south. And just like that, there were only 3 left. One of whom was already poised to escape. Not sure we can actually stop that one, but we'll see what we can do. Mal finished the last one, actually trying to fight. Oh, and Rax pinned the runner down. Diego shredding the other's ear, then moving to cut off its escape as well. Seymore sprinted in. But alas, not quite fast enough, as Cetra claimed yet another kill. Oh, hey. Defiant even in the face of death. I can respect that. Let's see how that works out for you. Oh, and the final foe falls. Claimed not by Rax, as one might expect, but by Val. Oh, you know, despite that, still safe to say that Rax did do the lion's share of killing, despite being double netted. Sadly, no unique items. But we did get a new brew. Grease Jar Potion. While the phrase slippery as a goblin hasn't quite caught on in the common vernacular, anyone who has fought the hateful greenskins knows its truth. With this amazing potion, however, anyone can take on this loathsome aspect. Wow, way to sell it, Ver. You've got quite a way with words. Obviously one of the more situational potions, perhaps honestly put to best use on a character with low melee, since they're the ones who'd have the hardest time cutting themselves free. You know, one thing I'll have to check is exactly how it works, because if it also allows them to free allies, then that would actually be pretty great for a support character. And good to go. Ran a little long, but I'm glad we did. That was a halfway decent fight. Not to mention, of course, a new potion, plus the 2 new named items. I'd say that makes for a pretty successful session. And I think still doing halfway decent on food. Oh yeah, we're more than fine. About the only thing we're really hurting on is cart space. And honestly, even there's a fair few items we could probably afford to dump. That said, we are running a bit long, so yeah, we'll go ahead and call it here for now. I'll take care of the usual off-screen bookkeeping, and we will pick up here next time, as we wrap back around to Rusty Blade Mesa. Hopefully we can find another fort or 2. That was actually pretty fun. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Erie V23, Revenant, Alois, Bowman, Drakiith, EgonAlter, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Lady Shayna, Mark Giemza, Overlord Ferrum, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.